Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Skating is for Mothers. I'm your host Caitlin Creeper, but today you will be hearing from Jenn, also known as Skater Mum Online, where she's spreading stoke and encouraging everyone to skate, sharing live tutorials and learning to skate after kids. So let's get into it.
Hi, so my name is Jenn. A lot of people know me as Skater Mom. I'm going to answer a couple questions. So when did I start skating? So in January of 2020, I was 4 months pregnant with our third son, and we found out he actually had a terminal diagnosis. So we really didn't know what the future was going to hold, but there was a lot of praying and laying in bed and just crying. So eventually in February, when I was 5 months pregnant, I delivered him stillborn. Dates are pretty crazy. It was actually 2/20/2020 at 2020. But shortly after that was when COVID hit. So obviously I was home from work. I was on disability after delivering the baby. My boys at the time were 2 and 4 years old. So they weren't in school. They were with me every day. So I really needed like something to do fun for them and for me to just kind of get out of bed. So we would go on family bike rides a lot. Like when my husband got home from work, and I would have the boys like in one of those bicycle trailers behind me, and my husband skated all throughout college and when he was growing up. So one day he took his skateboard. So I was riding the boys, and at the end of our street, there's a hill, and I couldn't get them back up. So obviously being newly postpartum, my abs weren't quite healed, and it was just too much on me to pull these two boys in this bike. So I got off and I said, you know what? I think I'd rather try my hand at your skateboard. I had never stepped foot on a skateboard before. I mean, maybe when I was like 8 and I tried and I fell and that was it. I never really had a desire to ever skate. It just seemed like something that was too out of reach. It just didn't seem like something I would ever be good at. And I don't like failing. So I just kind of wrote it off. I really didn't have any interest in it. So he was like, yeah, just step on my board and I'll pull you back. So I stepped on it and I actually was like able to stand on it and balance. And then I did a couple kicks and I was able to kick push. And before I knew it, I kick pushed the whole way home. And I just had so much fun. So I was like, wow, I actually might be able to skateboard. Like this is way more fun than I thought it would be. So from that point on, I just made it a point like every day I need to get out of the house and I need to do something fun with the kids and I'm going to learn to skateboard. So I just went back and forth up and down my driveway every single day on my husband's board. And then eventually I was kind of getting bored, like, all right, I need to do something a little bit more fun. So I'm going to try some tricks. Now, mind you, I was like maybe 2 weeks into skateboarding and I was trying to do like manuals. So needless to say, I had like fallen right on my tailbone, was getting hurt. It was just terrifying. There was a lot of fear in it and it just wasn't, as enjoyable as I thought it would be. So it was a little scary. So a couple weeks fast forward, I found out my sister-in-law had just recently started skating as well. And we were starting to get back together with family and she had me try her surf skate. And that was just a total game changer for me. So I snowboarded all throughout college and that feeling of carving just like instantly came back and I just instantly fell in love. So for me, I feel like surf skates are such a perfect board, especially for women, because there's so much maneuverability in it. So you're able to just throw it in your car and, when your kids are at the park, you could take it and ride on the park with them. You can turn very easily. So the ability to turn for me was like the biggest game changer. So it makes it more practical that I actually would ride it because I was able to do it well. And then it also took away that need for me to learn tricks. So the manuals that I was trying, like I wind up not feeling like I needed to do them because it was just so much fun just to carve. And then I felt like I could constantly work on improving my carving and improving my balance. And eventually, obviously, there are some tricks you want to learn. Like I love doing slides and now like starting to shred the bowls and things like that. But originally it's just so much fun. Like even when you're just riding, it's just so much fun. So what were some of my reservations and doubts about skating? I mean, starting, like I kind of said before, I just didn't even think that I would be able to do it. So the fact that I was able to kick push on the first try, it really like gave me a confidence boost. I did cheerleading from the time I was like 5 all throughout high school. So I feel like that balance aspect I had, it really helped me. I think the biggest thing that held me back too was like, where do I start? Like I felt like I didn't know where to buy a board. I didn't know what board to buy. I didn't know what board was the right size. I didn't know what size wheels. Like I feel like there's just so many different factors and I just didn't even know where to start. And that just seems really overwhelming at first. I'm a researcher at heart, so I went hardcore and was looking so into everything and researching everything. And I feel like just the biggest thing that I could say or suggestion I could have for somebody is just to get a board and just not worry about that. Eventually, you're always going to have your next board on your wish list. Like, one is never enough. You're always going to have another board that you're striving to get and that you want to do different things with, and every single board rides so differently. So I feel like it's just really important to not let that hold you back and just get a board, whether it's in your price range or it's what's available or a friend has in their garage and you can get on it and just borrow it for the time being. But I think just starting somewhere is the biggest thing. Just start. You'd be shocked how many people have skateboards laying around that they're not using. And if you are starting on like a regular popsicle board and it seems a little too intimidating, a lot of things I say to somebody is either look for a long board, because if it's longer, it's more stable. And then also swap out the wheels. So smaller wheels mean that you're going to go faster and you're going to get stopped on cracks and sticks and stones and all that. And it's going to make you fly off the board. But if you have bigger wheels, you're able to roll over those things more seamlessly. So I feel like larger wheels gave me more confidence. So how does it support, influence, or relate to motherhood for me? So with motherhood I feel like my biggest calling in life, my biggest blessings are my children. And I actually never came back around. I kind of left you guys hanging, I'm sorry, with a sad story, but it did wind up being a beautiful ending for us. We wind up finding out that we were pregnant with a surprise fourth baby. And we did have some scares. That's a story for a whole nother time of pregnancy after loss. It was not easy, but we did welcome a beautiful, healthy baby girl in May of 2022. So I did have to take some time off for my skating and like postpartum recovery, but I just felt like I came back even actually stronger because I got to take that rest that my body needed and just really get more in tune with relearning all of the basics. It's so important to model good behavior for your kids. So being active and working out, eating healthy foods, it's all things that I try to instill in them. So we're very intentional about the foods that we eat and the things that we do. And skating is just a great way to be active. So I joke a lot of times that I skip leg day when I work out so that I'm not too sore to skate, because I love skating and I never want to be sore and have to miss it. And skating is also my cardio. So I'm like anti-cardio, but I get plenty from skating. But that's obviously a joke. I am very in support of working out, and I think it's so crucial, obviously just for life, but for skating especially. Like, your legs have to be so strong. So working them out is so important. And then also mobility. So stretching is really important too, especially if you want to do some of like the fun like rail grabs and stuff. You need to be able to get down low. So ankle mobility and knee mobility is really big. But I think it's so important for moms. Like, a lot of times you see moms at the park with their kids and they're just kind of either, pushing a kid on a swing or sitting on a park bench or on their phone or chatting with friends. But it's like kind of disconnected from their kids. And yes, we need that break. But at the same time, like, it's so fun to be able to do something with your children. So, and they don't even have to skate. I mean, they can get a scooter or a bike or something, but just to be active and doing something with them, it's just so much more fun for them. You're making so many more memories, and then you're doing something that's actually so good for yourself. I feel like a lot of times mothers lose themselves in motherhood and they get so caught up with all of the responsibilities and they just put themselves on a back burner. And with skating, there's just such a feeling of youthfulness and freedom, and it just changes your entire mood. Like, there's just no way to describe it until you do it, but it is just endorphins, and you are just in such a better mood when you skate. And I feel like it makes me more patient with my children. It makes me feel like I get me time even though I'm with them. And sometimes I do like ask my husband, I'm like, hey, I need 5 minutes. I'm going to go down the street and go skate by myself. And it's great. And I feel like it's something that's more productive. It's good for my body. It's good for my family. It's good for my marriage, just all around it, all of it. Something recently that has been so cool that we've been doing as a family is kind of finding new skate parks. So we do a lot of weekend trips. We have a lot of friends and they invite us to do some crazy fun things. And I feel like every time recently that we're going to go away and do something, we're like, well, what skate park can we find on the way? So on the way to a weekend trip, we will try to stop at a park and the kids bring their scooters. We usually try to find ones that are scooter friendly. And it's just so neat because we all challenge ourselves in different ways. So like my boys are slowly like becoming more brave and taking on bigger roll-ins, and I'm starting to do the bowls more, and it's just so much fun. And it's like also getting to explore. Like, we're not big road trippers. We all get car sick. So I feel like this is probably the extent of our road tripping. Like, I'll never be able to see any of like the national parks and stuff, but I will go to skate parks. So we live in New Jersey and we get really cold winters. So we love to escape the winter and fly to some place warm. And we've also joked for the last 5 years about moving to Florida, but we have no idea what area we would move to. So it kind of reshaped our whole way of vacationing, because now we're instead of having no itinerary or anything to do, let's go find a skate park and we will stay someplace by the skate parks, and then we'll plan our whole trip kind of around that and see if we like the area. So that's been obviously super fun for me. And then it has just been really cool too for our marriage. So my husband is my biggest fan, my biggest supporter. And there's just nothing like having someone to root for you and to just cheer you on. And just having him be the ultimate cheerleader has just strengthened our marriage. And then him being totally on board and planning all these trips is my ultimate love language, is acts of service. And him doing this for me, it means more than him even actually doing it. Just him going through all of the motions of getting credit card points and finding cheap flights so we can go spend a weekend and do something fun and skate. So it really has changed our entire life, our entire family, and skating has just made everything so much better and so much more enjoyable.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Skating is for Mothers. I have included all Jenn's information in the show notes if you'd like to follow her. I hope you do, and I'll see you next time. This podcast was brought to you by The Salty Club, hosted by me, Caitlin Creeper, and sound and editing by Mateusz Gomes.